participants depending on the environment and the number of staff members available. So for an educational context, small classes, maximum 8 or 10 participants are preferred. And provide multiple copies of the tactile tools to reduce the waiting time, so people can use them in parallel. Then, next sub-chapter is how to design and manufacture the tactile tools. Of course, start by searching online for solutions that may already be invented and, most importantly, implemented and tested by others, so they are reliable. Avoid starting from scratch, reinventing things that already exist, and rather look for ways to improve existing solutions. Simplify the idea to focus only on the primary objective of the tool. So avoid too many details that are accessory, if you will, and could distract or make the logical thought less fluid. When designing a tool, investigate all the mechanical, electronic, economic issues that may arise and make the realization of that tool possible. So there are, of course, budget and feasibility implications. During the design phase, involve experts for the specific aspects as needed, as well as blind people, as co-designers. So doing this work together with blind persons is very important because they can guide you in making the right things. Then different materials provide different tactile stimuli and emotional sensations. So you have to carefully choose the material to be used for the surface of things, because the textures of what they touch for blind people is like colors are for us. They convey information, they can be pleasant or unpleasant, and so on. So use different materials and textures to differentiate the different areas of the tool, and avoid hard or sharp-edged elements, of course. Then test prototypes with visually impaired people and expert in typhlology. Typhlology is the science of blindness and the care of blind people. So those are the experts of how to teach to blind people, basically. Include a braille description on the object to allow both blind and visually impaired people to read them. For those not used or not familiar with the reading braille, like the newest generations, consider the new smartphone-based technologies to assist in. So things like QR code, text, NFC, and so on, things that the phone will read aloud. And document the recreation and use of new instruments by writing down technical notes and attaching explanatory photos and videos for to be able to reproduce it and improve over time. Now, conducting the event. This is the third. So tactile exploration is very different from the at-a-glance perception of the sighted person. So when you present a tactile tool and use it to have blind people explore it, it's a good practice to provide first a quick overview of the whole. The image can then be assembled by combining the mental image that blind people will make, can then be assembled by combining the details acquired through haptic perception. For people who being blind for birth, the details come first. They are used to explore from the details and then build the mental image, especially if they are not well trained in the use of touch. People with acquired blindness, visually impaired people, are more often accustomed to take a global glance first. So this mental approach is very important to keep in mind when interacting with blind people. Repeat the concepts and details several times. First of all, to reinforce the message and make sure that it has been properly understood, but also to reinforce the memory, the mental image that people are forming. Because, I mean, that's the only thing they have. They have to keep alive this mental image. Use topological information. This is very important. Just don't say here, there, and so on, but say like to the right, 2 meters ahead, at 3 o'clock, and so on. Give precise references. Whenever possible, exploit multisensory approach. So touch, hearing, and physical engagement, having some physical activities around the models that explain the concept. Concepts taken for granted by sighted are not so for blind from birth. Things like horizon, shadow, perspective, and so on. So I still remember one of the most impressive feedback that we got from a person who's blind from birth after taking one of the classes that she finally understood what sunset and sunrise means. So, I mean, it's easy for us to give that for granted. It's not always the case. Always act with the greatest delicacy possible when guiding the participants' hands using tactile tools. And warn before, so say, I'm going to make you touch this tool, and then you take the hand and drag it along. Avoid treating a person with disability like a child by touching or caressing him repeatedly. And also avoid addressing the blind person as assistant instead of talking directly to the blind person. They're just blind, but they're capable for any other means. Now, closing this part about the good practices. And again, I wanted to go into some details just to give a feeling of what's there, but I'm not going to give a class today. So, about the logistic organization of the events, seek a collaboration from a BDI association whenever possible to ensure that the necessary assistance for participants is there, especially for travel and transportation. Look for an environment that is as quiet as possible, because noise, background noise is just terrible, because the sound is the only communication means. And also clear all objects, the space as much as possible. So I have the table in the middle and everything else around the walls, so people can move around freely without danger. Consider that you may have guide dogs there. And before the event, gather information about special needs for each participant, because sometimes people can have multiple disabilities. And if it's the first time you arrange such an event, consult with early with experts from the local and national association. So this was just a not so quick overview of what's in there, so you know what to expect from this document. Now, to close the overview of the starter kit, the other component we say is the basic activities. There are three. The first one is a set of tactile constellations made with printouts of constellations, pins, and wool thread. So very simple, very cheap, very easy. The second one is a set of stars of different sizes in scale, made by polystyrene balls and colored with tempera colors. And the third one is a 5 meters rope, about 16 feet, that reproduces the solar system distances in scale. If you remember, we said that it's important also to have a physical experience, but just walking the rope is an important experience for blind people, because they can appreciate the physical scale of distances. So as you can see, these are simple models that can be built with a very low budget, in order tens of euros, of dollars, whatever. In most countries, of course, this may not be true worldwide. Simple manual skills, but still, even though they are simple, there's quite a bit of science that can be explained with them. And the description also includes step-by-step instructions for building the tool, as well as suggestions on how to conduct the activity and which science to explain along. And these tools have been used on the field for 10 years or so, so they're well tested. Now, other than the starter kit, on the same website, there is a resources section where you can find many more different complexity and cost level, and you can just browse through. They are grouped by disability type. Most of the resources are designed for people with visual impairments, but they're actually also effective educational tools in general, because in fact, understanding these complex spatial concepts is sometimes challenging also for sighted people. So having a physical model that you can touch is always very helpful. Okay, enough for the starter kit. Now we know what's in there. Just quickly to recap what we are doing for the other areas. So building the community, we post periodically information on the IAU Astronomy for Equity and Inclusion Facebook page. We have this Inclusive Outreach community group with more than 300 members. We are in touch regularly with the IAU National Outreach Coordinators group to reach out to national communities in two-way communication. And we are running this quarterly or so community good practice webinar. So as I said, we are trying to build the community as an important piece of our approach, because this is the way to share the knowledge. Now, finally, engaging the category associations, we engaged the European Blind Union with the support of the President's Office. The first step was the publication of an article about our activities on the EBU newsletter in February. More recently, we published a post about the famous James Webb Space Telescope file images that were published in July. And there are now ongoing collaborations in Italy and Romania. And we are also working there to arrange some specific education for outreach practitioners. And we have plans to engage corresponding entities in other countries, as well as the World Blind Association. It's just what we are doing here for now. Now, in closing, how can you all play with all these? How can you all be involved and contribute or leverage these resources? First of all, use us. So use our resources and provide feedback. If you have never done anything inclusive, you can start a lot with inclusive practice with our help. And please provide feedback. Ask the community feedback if you have questions and so on. Feedback is important for us. You can share either on Facebook group or via email. Second thing, share. So if you have experience, if you have done anything from simple to complex, it's always helpful for the others to know. So just share on the group, tell your story, share pictures, give advice, and so on. If you have a specific tool, well documented in the style that you see from our tools, you can also submit for publication on the IAU website. Then the other thing you can do is network. So help us grow the community, join the group and promote to your network from whoever you know, and so on. And there is also specific for BBI mentorship program in collaboration with Astronomy for Equity Association. And finally, contribute. So if you have experience and time and want to contribute to our working group effort, you can apply to join the group, and we'll be to hear from you. Finally, on this last slide, you can find the link to record the session from the Communicating Astronomy to the Public Conference 2021. So the first link shows all the sessions. It's a lot of interesting information, useful resources. I also highlighted a selection of the sessions that are most relevant to inclusion, but there are also others. So feel free to browse, explore, and hear. It's about 10 minutes each, so it doesn't take long. We just ran the 2022 conference last week, so the resources are not published yet, but we will publish on the Facebook group when they're available. So this was the last slide. This ends our introduction to what we do and what you can do to join this initiative and help to make astronomy and science in general more accessible and relevant to society. So we hope to see you and other outreach practitioners from your countries as part of the inclusive outreach community. Thanks a lot. Back to you, Christine.
Thank you very much, Cesare, for introducing our working group to our participants today. So actually, we have a comment here. So it's from Ri Sakuma. So he or she said that I'm low vision and I'm a teacher of special needs education school, and I'm interested in these practices so much. So you're all welcome here. So if you have any questions, so do you have any question for Cesare, by the way? Does anyone have a question?
And as we read, I just wanted to mention that there are a lot of references in the presentation. We can either share the slides on the group or in some other way so that you can have access. You don't have to type by looking at the recording of the session.
Okay.
And
Alright.
just for free comment, I'm glad that this is very, very helpful. Our experience mainly focused on outreach rather than to formal education. But anyhow, something is in common. So just wanted to share this information so that don't expect to cover all aspects of education, but some practices are relevant definitely to education.
All right. So I think our participants are kind of shy, but we have Cesare. So how do they join us if they want to join our subgroup?
In the slide, there is a link to the form to apply. I can also paste here. Let me just go to the slide, copy and paste. But as I said, I will make the presentation available so you have all the reference, all the links easily accessible.
Okay.
Okay, I just posted. Oh, sorry.
Also, Dr. Arkan also posted the link to the tactile. So if you are interested in printing the tactile that she showed a while ago, so feel free to go there and get the designs and print out your own tactile version of the stars. And then Cesare also posted the link to our how so that you can join our does
right,
anyone
there is another link I can share on the fly. Give me 1 second, which is a link to our web page. So again, it's in the presentation, but it's the other important one. It is the starting point for many things. Let me see if I got it right. Yes. Okay, there it is. Okay.
All right. So if we can now have our open forum now. So please feel free to open your camera and ask your questions or share your stories if you want. Or if you have any tools that you want to share with the group, don't be shy. So go ahead. Feel free to share. Oh, we also have here Amelia. Hi, Amelia. So Amelia is our lead.
No.
No.
Not anymore. Now Susanna is your lead.
Okay.
Susanna and Jake. But it's a pleasure to be with you today.
Our group is well represented today, right?
Yeah. Oh, we also have OAO here. Oh, so Dr. Arkan answered the question from a while ago about the black holes. So I'll just read that I've seen untold black holes in the universe is 40 quintillion. Wow, I can't even imagine that number. I don't think anyone can imagine that number. Black holes and very interesting stuff. We have Dr. Arkan here well, or so. Okay, so you can type questions, don't be shy. We have our experts here. And we also have from Kelly from IAU OAO. So hello, Kelly.
Or maybe we can ask questions to the audience.
Yeah.
If I can.
Go ahead, Cesare.
So, is there anyone who has already done some activity with an inclusive approach? So, like having activities that are inclusive for people with visual impairment to such an event? You can either open your mic. Sorry, go on, please.
So, or if anyone who wants to join the group, you can raise your hands, and then we can introduce you to the group. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
nice, Sarah.
Oh, that's very cool. So, Astronomy Club at School for the Deaf. Oh, do you want to present in our next webinar? I will get your contact number for that. So that's very cool. So, do you have? Can you share a little bit about that if you want?
Hello. Yeah, I'll be very honest. We didn't we didn't intend to go to this School for the Deaf. It was a general project starting astronomy clubs in schools, and I worked on that. And you have to go through the the district education authority, and it was all a bit of a palaver. In the end, what happened was the person in charge just gave us a list of schools and said, yeah, all right, these are the schools you can go to start your astronomy class. And pure chance, one of them was this School for the Deaf. So I said, I have to confess, we didn't go deliberately looking for them. And so we did go, the first time we went to the school to visit the teachers and just ask and say, well, how do we do this? There was just two or three of us volunteers. We didn't have any experience of working with deaf or hard of hearing people. And the teacher just gave us some very basic guidelines, just really saying how the students, you needed a lot of explanation, how they really enjoyed practical activities and things that visually they could see how something happened, or videos, animation, things like that. So we did find it took a bit longer to explain the concepts compared to some of the other schools, some of the other classes. But they did really enjoy it. They were very enthusiastic, and I think for us as well, it was just very interesting. I mean, it was a whole new experience for us, so we really enjoyed it. I mean, I have to say it was like a short-term project, so we're not still going there. Although last year we did win one of those telescopes for all for that school, but we're just trying to do a little bit of fundraising so we can. I said, because we're all volunteers, to sort of be able to go back there and because we want to train the teachers so that they'll know how to use the telescope. So there is some contact, but I'm not sure if the astronomy club is still going with the teachers there.
That's very cool. So, do you know about what they call this, the handbook or the manual for astronomy sign languages?
Yes.
So
I'm very interested in that, because of course the sign language is different in every. I didn't even realize, I just showed my ignorance. I didn't even realize, that when we went there, they said the Ghana Sign Language is different to American Sign Language or British Sign Language. And also I think, it's an evolving language. The kids come up with their own signs. I heard the teachers saying they would be talking about something, say, oh, and then they'd ask the kids, oh, what's the sign for such and such? And the kids say, oh, it's like this. Oh, okay. So it was really very interesting. But yeah, I was, because that is one of the things they said, actually. They said there are very few signs for any of those astronomical concepts, even some of the basic, planets and things. So the sign is something like, an object that goes around another object or something like that. They did say that. But so I remember thinking, oh, would we have to have some kind of meeting and sort of maybe talk about how, how do we introduce some new signs or some of these like astronomical signs to the community? I'm not quite sure how you would sort of go about that.
Wow, that's very cool. So Kelly from IOAO sent over the second edition of the astronomy sign language. So if you're interested, then just get it online. So that's very cool. Congratulations.
Okay.
Creating the group. I think we have a question from Kaj. So can anyone answer this? How can I measure the mass of the black hole? Oh, I also see Sylvia here. Hi, Sylvia. Familiar names and Girly, Tony and Kenneth. Hello.
Hello to everybody.
Hello.
Yeah. So to answer the question, the way to measure the mass of a black hole in an easy way, let's say, it's just to study the orbits of the objects which are around it, and then using Kepler laws, you can find an estimate of the mass.
Yeah. So that's also what Dr. Arkan said. So one way is to find out the speed of orbiting materials around it. Yeah.
I guess that if you want to be more precise, then you will have to start caring about Einstein's general theory of relativity, but that's a step one further.
All right. So I think we can close now the webinar. It's almost it's 14:30 almost, I guess. So does anyone who wants to share more or have any questions? Oh, so Dr. Argan have a sample problem set for you, so answer it during your free time. So you have that problem set if you want to compute. All right. So Cesare, any more? Do you have any more to say or closing remarks for the session?
Just thanks all those who did, and you know, this is a lesson. It's more. We will learn more. We try to keep the quarterly schedule, and hopefully this will be more and more interactive. And thank a lot, Christine and Rian, for all the effort to make this happen. So thanks.
All right. So again, thank you for attending the second webinar, and hopefully we can you can also join our third webinar. We haven't set the date yet, but we will message you again over our social media accounts and over your emails. So again, thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Arkan, Ferdinandino, and Luciano, and of course, Cesare, for presenting for today's webinar. Thank you very much. All right. Bye, everyone, and have a good day.
Bye-bye.